politics has become global and more global in the recent times, especially in the last 10 years. And I think South Asia plays quite an important role in that. Do you see that the young leadership in America is becoming more about the global issues, especially of that of Asia?
I think so. I think as we become a more globalized society and globalized economy, we know in particular, for example, we have a lot of financial stake with China. We know that our financial security is not just based on our money alone. It's based on what happens globally in the world. So we definitely are looking outward and looking for partners for that mutual growth.
Your firm, your consulting firm, New Partners, also works in the international consulting. How do you see the economy of America and Asia moving forward?
Our consulting firm has been looking much more internationally as over the last 12 months. We are a young firm. We're looking to grow internationally as well, and we want to take the same lessons that we learned and we developed on this campaign and help other politicians around the world to utilize them and to work towards a better commonality.
What are major risks when you were raising funds for Barack Obama?
Losing was probably the biggest risk that we faced. When we started, there was not, a lot of folks did not give us much of a chance to win at all. And given the overall political situation, it seemed likely that a Democrat would win the presidency. So if we didn't win, my name probably wouldn't be all that great right now. That being said, there aren't that many risks associated with traditional fundraising. You need to make sure that you aren't raising for the wrong people. You want to make sure that people aren't trying to buy influence with the money. So you need to make sure that everyone that you ask, everyone that you have your candidate ask for monetary support does not have a financial interest at stake as well. You want to make sure that you keep them both separate at all times.
And how often were you criticized?
We weren't criticized all that often. Every 3 months during the campaign, you have a reporting period where you have to say how much you actually raised. And this is a very good test. The press looks at it as a test to see how much support that you have. So after the first 3 months, we reported a very large number. We beat out every other candidate, so we received a lot of praise. But for the most part, you try to avoid press when it comes to fundraising. It's just just as a general rule, you don't like talking about money in politics.
What was the most interesting, funny, or very memorable part or experience you had?
I would say the most fun, it's hard to pick out one instance in particular, but the most fun was the first 3 months of the campaign, when it's just a few of us working on it, and everyone is saying that you can't win. There's no way that this is going to happen. And you get in every morning at 9 a.m., and you leave at 1 a.m., and you've never worked so hard in your life. And just to feel that exhausted, feel that driven and devoted to a cause, that's a feeling I think I will keep with me forever.
Mr. Copeland, how was it like working with Senator Barack Obama, then Senator Barack Obama, during the campaign?
It was fun. It was interesting because he had never done anything like this before. I never worked on a presidential campaign, so everything was new, and we were trying out a lot of things. He knew the type of organization that he wanted to build, and he put together a team in order to do that. But we were all sort of figuring it out too. And I think there's been a lot of writing about the early days of the campaign and how the candidate sort of figures out, why he's doing this or how he's going to put this together. So being able to share in that experience with him was very special.
And now that he's the President of the United States of America, how has that changed when you met him after he's become the President?
I don't think he's changed all that much. He cares, the number one thing that he cares about the most is his family. And that, I know for a fact, has not changed. So it's his family, his faith, his devotion to his country, the idea that he can do and bring together people to help our country move forward is something that he saw at the beginning and still sees today.
Could you tell me something about the process of fundraising and who are the major contributors? Do youth like us contribute?
You have to be at least 16 to contribute. You have to be a U.S. citizen and or hold a green card, which is a permanent resident status. Aside from that, and there are also limits. You cannot contribute more, this was in the last, during the election, you cannot contribute more than $2,300 to the primary campaign. Once the primary campaign is over, you could do another $2,300 for the general election, when we ran against Senator McCain. But in total, you're not allowed to do more than that. What we relied very much on were raisers, people who would ask their friends for money and ask other people for their financial support as well. So we really wanted to empower the people who wanted to do more work. So it was a lot of organizing, pulling small events together, big events together, and just sort of giving them the tools to help raise the money.
In 2009, Barack Obama won the Nobel Prize for Peace. Though he himself said that he hadn't worked enough to gain such an honor, many say that he was more than deserving. What is your view?
I would agree with that. I think that, as the president said, it is acknowledging a very large transformation that occurred within our country, one that was notably recognized by the rest of the world, especially given what happened over the last 8 years, this was something that it was more, I think he accepted it more on behalf of the American people than anything else. And he knows that there's a lot of work to do still in order to fulfill that mantle.
Do you feel any sort of difficulty or burden after being a hand behind the world's most powerful president?
Not necessarily a burden, but I definitely feel much more invested in the process. As I had mentioned before, this was my first presidential campaign. I'd worked on other campaigns before, and for different senators, and they tend to focus more on specific issues and focus more regionally in terms of what they cover. Now, with the president, I worry about everything. I want to make sure that he does well. The health care bill that just passed, I think, was absolutely outstanding, and is a is going to be a great benefit for our country. But it also allows this entire administration and his presidency to accomplish much more.
Mr. Copeland, you're very good at the work that you're doing. How do you suggest the young people to pursue your path?
I think that when I first started in politics, fundraising wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to get into or I was looking to get into. I grew up in Iowa, and my mother was a reporter, so I knew about the political process and was engaged, but didn't really know about the business of politics, what it takes to really sort of have a career in it, aside from being an actual politician or working in the government. So working on campaigns really afforded me a lot of opportunities to try out different things. So both in terms of helping to organize, doing some research. I didn't do much press, but that I was able to sort of find my niche in the political business world. So really being able to explore a lot of things early helped me to sort of fall into fundraising.
As we discussed earlier, that wherever there is money and power, it often tends to become negative, and corruption is something that's killing the world right now. Where do we find people like you and make them do good works so that the politicians are given positive directions? Because ultimately policies do matter when it comes to global harmony or a nation's development.
Well, I think that the people like me are sitting here right now. They are people that care about their country. They know that things need to change, and it's just a question of organizing and doing the work. It's not that big of a shift, really, from from volunteering or from being a youth to really getting involved and to really engaging and carrying your values with you, working only for people that you feel that carry and share those values. And if they veer from those, if they do something that you don't like, you shouldn't feel obligated to stay there. We all live in we fortunately live in free societies.